photos of where the Trade Center towers that their Muslim brothers knocked down, killing 3,000 innocent people, is a travesty. People are upset. I'm upset, but we're taking action. Sunday, September 5th, we will put our faith to the test as we open the 9/11 Christian Center at Ground Zero. I need your help. I need your prayers. I need your support. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome back to Live Prayer. Today I'm going to be talking to you about an issue that has weighed heavy on my heart for years now. You know, the church is supposed to influence our culture, but sadly in the year of 2010, quite the opposite's true. The culture influences the church. Now, I could run down a laundry list of ways this has happened, but the one I want to focus on today is the politically correct speech you hear coming from the pulpits of our churches around the country. You know, it's funny. After our initial service at the 9/11 Christian Center, I was asked, and it's almost as I'm filled with hate for people who don't believe like Christians. And I said, no, quite the opposite. All I did was share the simple truth of the gospel from the Bible itself. I didn't make any of it up. There was no hatred, quite the opposite. That was a message of the greatest act of love there is. Hatred's when you don't love someone enough to tell them the truth. And if you believe the Bible's the truth that God gave to this world, then everything in it is exactly the way God said it is. And I submit to you today, one reason we have such weak, watered down, compromised, let me just say it, gutless and spineless Christians in the year 2010 is because we have a generation of weak, compromised, watered down, spineless, gutless pastors who have bought into this politically correct mindset of the world. A little over a week ago, Juan Williams, who's a contributor to Fox News, side of the fence, but he's a lot more measured than most on the left. He was fired from NPR because in appearing on Bill O'Reilly's program one night, he had the audacity to say that when he gets on airplanes and sees Muslims in Muslim garb, he gets concerned, he gets afraid that they would want to represent themselves in that way. And for those comments, he was fired. Now, I get it. That wasn't probably a very politically correct thing to say, but it was his opinion. It's how he felt. He's a commentator. He was there to share his personal views, his commentary. And the fact is, last I checked, it wasn't Scandinavian grandmas blowing up planes around the world. It was Muslim men. People should be concerned. If you know anything about Islam, you know that they are in the midst of jihad, not only on this nation, but on the world. Holy war. But what about the peaceful Muslims? Myth. Now, they're secular Muslims, just like they're secular Christians. People don't really practice their faith and just do their own thing and don't really pay attention. But the people who do practice Islam, there's no difference between what's taught in Saudi Arabia and what's taught in Fort Myers, Florida. The only difference is you can't get away with chopping people's hands off yet in Fort Myers, Florida, and Sharia law hasn't taken hold in Fort Myers, Florida, like it is in a lot of Islamic countries. But what they believe is all the same. I shared a couple weeks ago at the sentencing of Faisal Shahad, a.k.a. the Times Square bomber, as he stood there in that courtroom and calmly, coolly, collectedly gave one of the most honest messages I've ever heard about what Islam's true goals and intentions are in this country. He said, he's just the first. There's many that are going to follow. And Islam will not sleep until they control this nation. Now, Islam's just one of the politically correct taboo subjects these days. Of course, probably the greatest example is the whole homosexual issue that has been raging in this country now really for the last 30 years. They did a masterful job of pushing their perverted and